where are you from and what's your name and what are you doing in Pensacola?
Okay, my name is Veronica. I'm from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I've come down to Pensacola, Florida, with my son to support Kent Hovind.
Do you mean support him in his recent legal troubles?
Yes, and just for the last 8 years, ever since I found out about him, I've been praying for him and just, asking God for mercy. God's in control of everything, so he allows things for a reason, but just praying for him and just want him to know that we're here for him.
And are you a creationist?
Oh, absolutely.
And how long have you been a creationist? Were you always a creationist from when you grew up, or did you become a creationist at some point?
Well, it's interesting. I never really thought about it until I got married, and the man I married had children from a previous marriage. And they were in, I call it the government schools, they were in a government school system. And I just had a faith that I just always believed. I never really questioned about creation or evolution. I just knew that God created us. But they would come up with all this evolution stuff. So I had to do some research at that point because they actually lost their faith through the teaching of evolution.
So when you married your husband, was he a Christian?
Oh, absolutely. We met at church, actually.
And what kind of church was that? What denomination?
They call it non-denominational, but it's actually one of the Calvary Chapel churches that they have that was started by, what's his name? Chuck Smith was the main guy in Costa Mesa, California, wherever it's. I've never been to California.
Right. So what's it like to be a creationist in suburban Philadelphia, what is known as affluent suburban Philadelphia, here in the South and in Pensacola, it's real Bible Belt, and there's a lot of Baptists, a lot of fundamentalists. Did you feel like a minority?
Absolutely. And even they say Bible Belt. I don't know, it's by your fruits that you're known. I don't see a whole lot of fruit from people anymore. I see people just caught up in this world. And just the church has fallen asleep.
So are you still going to the same church now?
Actually, no. God had led us to go to a smaller church. And also, it's good to go and meet other Christians and meet other people to, just as iron sharpens iron, to grow each one of us to be more like Jesus.
So, what was your first exposure to Kent Hovind? Was it through the videotapes? Did you hear him talk? How did you become interested?
Interestingly enough, I had no clue about YouTube or anything like that. A friend of mine had a YouTube channel. So about 8 years ago, I was going on YouTube looking for her, and she had a favorite video. And once you do this, it's like this whole rabbit trail. So you're going and you're looking at this and you're looking at that. Well, I just happened to get on a YouTube channel from a guy called Venom Fang X. And he was very fascinating. And he had a link to Kent Hovind. So I went on that link and I sat there and I watched every single one of the creation videos that he had. And I loved it so much, I went and I'm like, Jonathan, come here, look at this. It's my son. And I made him watch them all, again. So, and I was so excited. I'm like, come on, we're going to Dinosaur Adventureland. So I'm going on the computer to find out about Dinosaur Adventureland, to find out they were both in jail, him and his wife. And I was absolutely devastated. So I've been praying for him and his family ever since.
Did you consider coming down and meeting his son Eric and going to the Creation store, or was that less of a draw?
We met his son Eric at Creation Ministries International. They had a camp, a creation camp several years ago, and then we also met him at an Answer in Genesis conference a couple of years ago also. So, you know, he's not Kent, but he still, you know, does a good job.
Did you follow the work also of Ham?
Ken Ham, yes.
So was this called Creation Boot Camp, or was that something that they used to have? Because I know that we have some photographs from Kent Hovind with Creationist Boot Camp, is what they
Yeah,
call
this was something different. I'm trying to think of his name. Because there were so many scientists in this. It was called Creation Ministries International. His last name was Bates. He also came from Australia.
What do you do at a creation?
All the scientists, they come up and they talk about like astronomy, they'll talk about geology, they'll talk about biology, and they'll talk about the differences between what you're being taught in evolution and what you're being, you know, and actually creation. So it's both of it's a religion. No matter how you look at it, nobody was there when creation happened. And true science is it has to be observable. Nobody has ever observed it. So you have to have your own beliefs. But you either believe we were created or you believe, you know, that nothing exploded and millions and billions of years and rain on a rock and life formed from nothing and here we are. Both is a religion. But people don't realize that. They think that just because it's taught in the government schools that evolution is actually a fact.
So when you discovered that Kent Hovind or Dr. Dino was incarcerated, and when did you decide to protest his incarceration, and did you run across other people who were on the internet like Rudy Davis or Ernie Lamb or Wiley Drake or Reverend Manning? I mean, when we were doing our research, you know, there was various talk shows and blogs and that kind of stuff. So were you paying attention to that a few years back, or did you become aware of some of those people and those broadcasts and blogs more recently?
More recently.
Like how recently?
I guess within the last couple months. I've been following Kent Ham on my own, like on the websites, on his website, and that like his son like was doing a movie that he's trying to do.
Did you mean Kent Ham or Kent Hovind?
I mean, sorry, Ken Hovind.
Yeah.
Eric is doing a movie, a
Genesis.
3D movie.
Yeah.
So I saw that when we were at the Answer in Genesis conference. So like I was following him and I knew that he was supposed to be getting out soon. So when they came up with these charges for mail fraud and contempt of court, I was furious.
So who do you then start to go to for your information on the status of the trial and for the organization of the Free Kent Hovind movement, you know, to the extent that it was organized?
Well, then, as I was doing some research, that's how I found, you know, Rudy Davis and, you know, some of the other ones that they were talking about. Like, I was following him when he was down here at the court, 'cause I so wanted to go, but I homeschool my son and I had other obligations. We have different groups that we're in that you just can't up and leave. So I take homeschooling very serious with it.
So, so you took off from Philadelphia, got into a Volkswagen van,
Yes.
and came down here and camping the whole way and stuff. So tell us about that. So when you decided to come down, that you had missed the first trial and you decided to come down for the retrial.
I had
so what?
obligations.
Yeah. So what triggered the decision, and what was it like coming down, and your expectations?
I was just expecting to be standing outside the courthouse with signs. All the way down, we stopped and we would talk to people. Do you know who Kent Hovind is? Most people never even heard of him. You know, do you know why he's locked up? Do you know what structuring is? You know, and mail fraud, like why, you know, what a Liz Pendens was. Like I would just ask people questions. And most people never heard of him, never heard of Dr. Dino. You know, so we did do that. We camp out a lot with that Volkswagen van again, so I don't know how to really answer that. We've traveled.
Is the van decorated with like free can
Oh, yes.
branding and slogans and stuff like
Oh,
that?
yes.
Yeah, so you have some photos that you could share with us
Oh, sure.
of the van? Yeah. Oh, is the van parked?
Yes, it's outside.
Okay, great. Yeah, I kind of want to get, I want to ask you for the story again. So you're sitting there in Bucks County, Philadelphia, and you just like decided to come. Was it a spontaneous decision? Did you like buy a lot of food, load up the van, get some dinosaur props? Can you show us what you have with you today?
My dinosaur. I also bought a little dog cage. I was going to put it in outside the courtroom and with a little sign, "Free Dr. Dino."
And why did you want to be outside the courtroom as opposed to inside the courtroom?
I want people to see, you know, and then I was going to come in the courtroom with my son and to watch the court case, but I just want people to be aware.
Like the public or
Yes.
jurors or something? Because Joshua Jocelyn, who we spoke to yesterday, I mean, you know, he had his thing down to sound bites, and he was very much trying to reach the jury and have them realize that they were powerful as jurors and that sort of thing.
And jury nullification,
Yeah. So
which is powerful.
So did you have more interest in being part of, like, you know, for want of a better term, the street protests, or more interest in observing the trial and showing Kent and the folks in the courthouse that, you know, Kent had a loyal following and people that cared? Or was it kind of both? Or
Yeah, C, both A and B.
but you have to tell us A and B, because
Yes, I wanted to be down there early before the court case started and be outside with my signs and my props. And then we were going to go in and watch the court case, and then during our break and all, be outside.
How many days did it take you to get down here?
I guess 2.
So you
Because
were-
I just, like, we drive and then I'll pull over and sleep for a few hours, pop the top and sleep for a few hours, and then drive a few more hours and stop here and there. If I get really tired, I have to stop.
So you were moving.
Yes.
And
Well, we had to move.
yeah.
We had, because my son is in, he's in a lot of art programs and stuff, and he's in a homeschool choir group, which they're doing their production at the end of the year, which is Thursday. So we actually left directly after choir rehearsal on Wednesday from the choir rehearsal and raced down here, and we have to get back for his show.
So how long were you planning to stay here originally?
I was planning to stay Monday and then Tuesday and then leave sometime Tuesday so we can get back on time for his show. And then if the court case continued, I was going to come back down after his show, depending on what had happened, because they were saying something they were going to have a week and then take off a week and then be back another week. And I'm like, I'll just come back.
And are you staying in a motel, or are you staying in the van that you came in? And
We're staying at a campsite. Not far from the courthouse. So, but I actually did rent a cabin there for a couple days, so.
And you like being in Pensacola and on the beach and that kind of thing? Is it after the after the winter we had, or you're not?
I'm not a beach person. I would never, to be honest with you, I would never come to Florida except for this court case.
Okay, so last night on the internet, various people are sending out some news. What was the news that you got last night, and how did you first find out that circumstances had changed?
Okay, on Facebook page, Rudy Davis's wife is on there, and she had posted that they dismissed the charges. So, you know, I'm excited that they dismissed the charges, but I'm not going to be really happy until he's out. I mean, totally out of jail, because they still have the contempt of court charge. I'm not sure if that's dismissed. I just want to see him just out of prison.
So you were what was your emotional thing? Were you like happy but skeptical, or?
Skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of, even though I'm not from Missouri, but you know, the show me state. But it's like, yeah, I don't believe it till I see it.
So are you anxious to get inside the court tomorrow and actually hear? And also, I mean, you know, originally, how many people do you think would have showed up had the trial not been canceled?
I would be honestly guessing. I have no idea, because I was surprised that there wasn't as many people as I thought there should have been the first time. And I felt bad. I mean, I wanted to be here so bad, but my son was involved in a Night of the Arts homeschool presentation, and he had a lot going on with that, and I just can't just leave all the time. So it was, you know, he's first. My family is first, obviously.
You know, I'm a single dad, and I understand those conflicts. For me to come down this time, I had to cobble together quite the arrangements. So, what's your understanding of what the legal situation is? Why did they, you know, given the intensity of the prosecution and how much money was spent and how much and how detailed it was?
They will not give out that information. Did you hear Rudy Davis on that FOIA thing?
But did you were you surprised?
At how much money? Yes.
No. Were you surprised that that, you know, a few hours before the trial, they announced that charges are dropped and without prejudice and case dismissed?
Again, I'll see tomorrow. I mean, I know they said that. I know they have it on the internet. But I'm not going to be happy till I see him out.
Do you think other activists in the Free Kent Hovind movement were sort of in a state of shock, or you think they were happy? Did you see the video from Kent Hovind today in prison when he found out from his son?
I did see that, and he just wants to go home. I mean, think about it. He has an 8-year-old grandchild he has never held in freedom. And there's people who have done a lot more horrendous crimes. Not that I think that he's guilty, but people have done horrendous crimes that get out of jail in a few years. Why is he in jail all this time?
Why is he in jail all this time?
Right, for structuring.
No, but why do you think he's in jail all this time?
Why? Because the government is trying to control people as best as they can, and if you're not going to fit into their agenda, they're going to come after you one way or another. They're coming after small business people, they're coming after conservative Christians specifically, Tea Party people, anybody who's not going to fit into their agenda that they're trying. And you can see it. I mean, people sit there and say, oh, conspiracy. The word conspiracy, C-O-N means with, spiracy is spirit. This isn't just a bunch of people that, you know, get together and do this. This is the spirit behind the people, and people don't know what kind of spirit that they're under. You're either spirit of God or you're not, and you can figure out what spirit you're under. It's just things are coming to a head.
Do you think that the charges were dropped because, in part because of the legal work that was done in his defense, because of the growing strength of the Free Kent Hovind movement, because of God? Do you think any of those
Because
three
of
things?
God. It's God is in control. I mean, if God wanted him to be out of prison, he would have been out of prison. He had him in there for a reason, and he's going to use it. Just like Joseph was in prison before he got out and became second command of Pharaoh. Not that I think that Kent Hovind be second in command around here, but just, you know, God had his hand on that, even though at the time you're like, why would an innocent man be in jail? Paul was in jail. Again, so God uses things for his glory and for a reason. So we just pray and ask God that his will be done, and to comfort him and his family, and that he'd be merciful and get him out of jail so that he can go home and actually, you know, hug his 8-year-old grandchild.
So last question is, if things go Kent's way and it gets out soon, are you looking forward to his productivity as a creation scientist, as a pastor? Do you think that he'll have a new wave of productivity, and whether they're talks or video production, or do you think there might be some issues because his son, now basically is running the ministry? Have you thought about that?
I take one day at a time. Things can change on a dime.
So aside from sympathy for him and him
the
coming
injustice.
and the injustice, I mean, are you looking forward to his being in the free world?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was an excellent speaker, much better than me. Excellent speaker, and he was great at debates. I enjoy watching them. I just...
So more to come.
Yeah, there's just, you have to take one day at a time. I enjoyed his teachings. I used them with my son. I'm kind of, each day that goes by, I'm more concerned about raising my son in the way he should go and being obedient to God.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we're going to talk about the choir.
And my different things of Night of the Arts and stuff like that I do for homeschooling.
You have to look at me.
Yeah, I
So-
know, but I want to look over there at that nice shiny wall. Can you see the outlet? It's beautiful.
Jonathan.
Not weird, you are.
So I have Jonathan in a lot of homeschool art groups and choir, and we
Stuff.
came down here in the week of a lot of busyness, but we did that because we really wanted to show support for Ken Hovind.
Yes, and might be a bit of a rush, but who cares? As long as we make it back, and I'm going to be tired, and then I get to go on stage singing. A world premiere.
How long have you been in the choir?
Choir, a couple of years now, actually.
He's
And
got a beautiful voice.
I'm right now the lowest bass in the choir. Hopefully that's to change soon because it's very lonely being the only low bass. And you're the only second bass in your choir. So lonely because you're the only one singing low, and you're like, can I have a microphone or something, please?
He's got a beautiful
There's
voice.
20 sopranos over here. Somebody help me.
He does. It's we're doing actually, I have my Ken Hovind t-shirt on. I had a Noah t-shirt on earlier. It's a production about Noah.
And I'm
What
wearing
they're
my
gonna be
vacation
doing.
shirt because vacation is awesome. Happy face.
So I don't know what else we want to talk about besides that we rushed down here on right after choir practice, and we'll be back right before we start his production.
The world premiere is supposed to be of Noah, written by a woman named Karen Green. This whole production is a story of Noah, and it's a very interesting one.
Free
Why don't
Dr.
you show us that? Yeah.
Free Dr. Dino.
Kite she colored, because she likes coloring stuff.
Well, we did a lot of coloring
Could you
stuff.
take it out and
Sure.
Let's go fly it indoors. Get the fan running!
Hey,
Get the
Jonathan,
fan!
how's that song go? Let's go fly a kite.
I
How's
have
this
no
come out?
idea.
All right.
I put it in here. How do I get it out again?
Yeah. I put it in that way so you could see the Free Dr. Dino on the tail.
And she was talking earlier about the Night of the Arts. I can tell you a little bit about
Where's
that.
the stick that goes with this? It should be in here. I hope it didn't drop out.
I do blacksmithing.
So where's
That's what
the
I was-
stick?
That's what I was doing, was blacksmithing for my Night of the Arts.
Well, that was another thing. There should be a stick here.
There
Okay.
isn't. Oh well.
So you know what? When we had taken this out in the hallway, maybe the stick fell out, so we'll have to go find it.
Anyways,
But this is, it's a dinosaur, Free Dr. Dino.
and I'd like to now encourage that somebody else does blacksmithing. It's a very fun thing to do, and it's almost forgotten.
Well,
It should be remembered. Such a fun thing to do.
I have to find that stick or this is going to be useless.
You can always just take one off a tree. Trees
Not
grow
the
sticks.
same thing.
I don't care.